Alright, let's do this right. What is up guys, Robobeats here, and I know today I'm doing a bit of a different video. Today I wanted to do more of a commentary style, because it's more of what I have to say rather than having to set up my camera, because my camera's not the best at the moment, and I have like nothing to hold it on. So today I'm talking about Jedi Fallen Order. Now if you guys remember from EA's track record, this is not looking good for this, well, what seems promising game. And I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, so I might be one of the few. I am actually really worried about this game, but also I am very looking forward to it as well, because it has a lot of potential, and I just hope EA doesn't do its signature EA thing. And this is the first actual third-person action game that actually, you know, kind of looks the same and actually acts the same than its predecessor, Force Unleashed. The first Force Unleashed, I remember, was one of my favorite Star Wars games, and is one of the better Star Wars games out there. Star Wars has had a lot of good MMOs, Knights of the Old Republic and a bunch of other stuff, as long as other games too, but with the whole 3D action, I have to say Force Unleashed understood Star Wars, and I have to say that Galen Merrick, or otherwise known as Starkiller, was one of the best main characters that we've gotten in said Star Wars game fashion. But today, I am talking about the newest attempt, and what looks to be promising attempt from Respawn Entertainment. If you guys don't know who Respawn, I don't know, you know, what you're doing with your life, but Respawn is they're responsible for Titanfall. If you guys remember Titanfall, it was actually a pretty good game that got sacrificed by EA for Battlefield 1. If you guys remember that, Battlefield 1 came out at the time that Infinite Warfare was coming out, and people were sick of the whole futuristic game. Titanfall 2 suffered because of that, and honestly, EA knew what they were doing, and they released it at the wrong time just to boost their sales of Battlefield 1. So Respawn actually has a good intention behind their games, and is actually one of the most interesting companies that I have to say. Originally coming from Infinity Ward, making their own studio. And Titanfall 2 was a great game, just squandered by its potential. Saying that, with Respawn, I have to say that I do try a Star Wars game. I just hope that they can actually do it in how it is. Speaking of that, so let's get right into it. With the new gameplay trailer that we saw at E3, it seems really cool, but I do have some thoughts on it, and I do have to say, there's a link in the description to go watch it. Go check it out before you watch this video, you know, just to give them some love, and so you guys will be on topic with what I am. First topic, I hope they actually had time to develop. EA has been known to shut down companies for less, aka what they did with the last third-person action game that they did, Visceral. They shut down Visceral, they shut down BioWare, and it's weird. It's really weird that EA says, okay, we're gonna give you a short amount of time to develop this game. If you can't do it and it flops, that's on you and you get shut down. And that's why EA is really in the public eye for being, well, EA. And they also had a really controversial thing recently where they said that supply drops, or loot crates or microtransactions, were surprise mechanics. So yeah, I'm not gonna talk about that. I might talk about that later on, but there's many other videos, like Clean Prince did a good video. I'll link that also. Honestly, EA is just notorious for having these things, and I hope there's no EA scum in this game. I hope there's no forced microtransactions or anything. I don't know how they would do it, but I'm sure EA would find a way to do it. I don't know. I just hope they had enough time to develop this game, and it looks beautiful, but at the same time, with the rush schedule, I'm sure that they did their best, but I hope there was enough time. Let's talk about the main character. Now, there's not a lot of information, or at least that I know of, about the main character, but it seems to be interesting with all the new things that they're throwing at us. This new main character, looking like Tom Holland,
It's very funny. Don't come yell at me to do the dishes. If you've been banging a clown, the next one, you know.
He actually seems a bit interesting with his robot sidekick, which I think will be a good companion system in there. I hope that they make this character, they flesh him out and actually make him a good character, kind of like they did with Galen. And, you know, you felt that emotion in Galen, and I hope they do the same thing. I mean, it's 2019, and the game's coming out in 2020. I'm sure they can finally actually make this stuff worth it and make a good game. Because it's freaking the future, God of War exists, so what's your excuse? I hope that they make this character actually interesting and not just like some one-off character, someone that we'll actually want to see in this format. And I have to say that the saber combat. Now, show a clip.
You are a Jedi. I think we're looking at the original trilogy the most for what we're trying to do. Yeah. But we want, like I said, we want it to be grounded. It is a video game, so he's going to do things that are more powerful than you'd see in the movies. Sure. But he might not seem as over the top as some of the other lightsaber Star Wars games we've seen in the past.
Some of the saber combat actually seems stiff. And what I'm hoping for is that it's a mechanic of the game, that the saber combat is actually stiff at first, but once you start leveling up and getting new moves, it starts to flow a lot better, like kind of like God of War. But at the same time, I think that it was just like alpha footage, so it might have just been looking stiff because of the alpha footage, but at the same time, it was looking a bit stiff. It looked like Battlefront 2, show a clip. Battlefront 2 saber combat, which was not at all enjoyable, and it kind of failed. There was a couple good things in Battlefront 2, but at the same time, the saber combat was very, very lackluster, and it didn't really behave like a, you know, like a good lightsaber. Also, we are actually back to where lightsabers behave like lightsabers. In this game, they cut through things, and I'm not sure if they're gonna do the whole Force Unleashed thing where you can cut someone's arm off or whatever. I hope they do, but a lightsaber does behave like a lightsaber in this game, and that's really cool. It's one of the main things you kind of have to get with the Star Wars game is getting the one damn weapon that they use right. Honestly, it seems a bit stiff, but there are cool saber moves, like you can execute, show a clip.
Original trilogy, the most for...
There's actually an execution every once in a while, and I think that's really, really cool, and will actually make the gameplay that much more enjoyable. I think that was a great thing to do. Also, mixed in with the saber combat, we got these new force abilities that look amazing. You got the force push as always, you got classic stuff like throwing your lightsaber, force push, but now you can actually do the Kylo Ren stopping in midair. Oh my god, you can do it in the environments, but you can also do it with players. There was this one scene, I'm sure that a clip's playing, where this guy has a flamethrower and you stop it right in its tracks. That's really cool. Also, there's a scene where there's a blaster, he stops the blaster, gets a hold of the guy and pulls him in towards the blaster. That is freaking amazing, and that is what I want to see in this game. Just cool force abilities. Honestly, that's all I really want out of this game is good story, good character, and just cool and really like out there abilities. That's, you know, it doesn't have to be realistic, doesn't have to be gritty. Just make a good Star Wars game, and I swear to God, it will be amazing, especially with the new parkour system. Show a clip, please. The new parkour system seems interesting, and of course, it's Respawn, so there's gonna be wall running. But it's more like an Uncharted kind of parkour system rather than like a more of an Assassin's Creed. But I don't care if you can traverse the levels with parkour, that's amazing, and I'm kind of a parkour addict. So that is amazing, especially in a Star Wars game where you're Jedi, you're trained to do these things. So kind of gives me flashbacks to where Luke was in the swamp and flipping and stuff like that. If you guys remember back in the days of the old movies. That's cool, and I like to see that. I like to see different moves presented with saber combat. And it's something that I sorely missed back way when you could pick your saber style. Galen Merrick having the two lightsabers, it slips my mind what they're actually called, but there are actual names for the saber combats. Then you have Knights of the Old Republic, and just like different moves and different styles you can do with lightsabers that I really want to see in this game and done right. Also, good enemies are really important for this game to succeed. Now, from what I've seen, we got the classic stormtroopers, we got the ELO troopers, and finally we got those guys dressed in all black, wannabe Vader looking guys. But, you know, with the long staff and the shocking on the end. Those guys are really cool, and is really base enemy for any Star Wars game, to be honest. But it seems like they're gonna have their own unique fight style as well, which is really cool, and I haven't seen since Force Unleashed. So, different enemies I would like to strategize differently for. I don't want to fight the enemy the same way and win the same time, aka Force Unleashed 2. I don't want to win the same way by doing the same thing. By then it just becomes tedious, and it just becomes like, well, yeah, I mean, there's no challenge here. I want there to be challenge. I don't want it to be too hard. I just want there to be a challenge. And that is good enemy design. Now we have spiders. We have big spiders now. I don't think we've seen that in a Star Wars game, and I think that's kind of cool. You know, spiders are looking really, really cool, and I think that is a really creative, not really, I mean, it's a creative. It's creative as an enemy type. That's creative, you know? Something we haven't seen before, and it's something new. So, you know, it's always pretty good. Also, world design. I hope that the worlds are interesting, because I remember back in Force Unleashed 1, where the worlds would be so cool, and you could transverse, and you could see different things, different people, and they were very interesting, and you actually wanted to learn. Fallujah, I remember back, please show a clip, Fallujah in Force Unleashed. That was a really cool world. It was a breathing, living world, even though I had one of the most infuriating levels when you go inside that one living kind of plant thing where you get blown around by wind and shit, but it was still a very interesting world, and they actually had 2 or 3 levels on Fallujah, and I think that was fine because they showed different parts of the world, they showed how the world operated, and that was amazing. That's what I'm hoping for in this Star Wars game, because that's at least what you can do, is have an interesting environment that we can actually say, oh, that's kind of cool. With the worlds, there was actually a world event in the clip that was shown where you can see the rebellion and you can see the stormtroopers shooting at each other from far away, and that honestly looks really cool. And if the whole game kind of has set pieces kind of like that, I think that the game is going to look very, very good and very, very immersive. Something that EA has is the Frostbite engine and everything like that, so you can make beautiful environments. The one thing that was good in the Battlefront games was that everything looked beautiful. Everything looked how it was supposed to, and it looked beautiful. And that's what I want out of this game, especially with these new transversal mechanics and the parkour. I hope that they do something with it. Speaking of worlds, I hope it's semi-linear. I mean, it could be linear, I don't really care. But it would be kind of cool for the level design to be semi-linear, like you do it how you want to do it. But I don't know if that's going to be a thing. It's just kind of something I'm hoping for, and I think that that's really cool for the world design to actually do that. And the companion, I talked a little bit before. You got a little robot with you, and it's really cute, and what I think it is just kind of like brownie points to have some kind of cute robot, but I hope that they actually have a useful use for him, rather than just being a one-off kind of companion that comes around every once in a while. Rip RTD2, but but I just hope that they actually have something good going for this companion. With all this said, I have made a lot of comparisons to Force Unleashed. That's because Force Unleashed 1 was such a beautiful, such an amazing, such a rich environment game, and it seems like they're going towards that again, with the RPG mechanics as well. You level up, and I'm not sure if you level up your Force abilities or your lightsaber skills, but it's there. And I remember back in Force Unleashed 1, that was a really cool thing to upgrade your Force abilities, feel really, really powerful as you work throughout the game. And it's really cool with the Easter eggs and different lightsaber colors. Am I asking for a different lightsaber color? No, that doesn't have to be a thing. But just little things like that. Little things like finding a Chiron crystal or something different. Something like Easter egg mechanics. Not useless ones like Call of Duty with the intel. Just something that is worthwhile. Especially Battlefront 2. That gallery reward thing, I don't know what they were doing, but I just hope that this game is good on its own. And one more thing I have to say before I end this. EA, please do not... Alright, hold on. Subtitle me here. Please do not force canon on this game. Let this game actually be good by itself instead of having to shoehorn it into the Star Wars universe. If you guys remember back in Battlefront 2, this happened and they wanted to force to say, this story is canon. It turned out to be a load of shit and the game sucked. The main story was so flippy-floppy with a main character that really wasn't interesting. It started out good with a different approach for seeing the Empire side, but it went nowhere. That's not what I want from this game. Basically, main character has to, please make him interesting. Saber combat, make it good. Force abilities already look cool, make that amazing. Story, please just let it be good. Let the story be good by itself. Don't force DLC on us or anything. Let us enjoy the game for a while, and then maybe we might actually want to buy DLC. Who knows? Please, EA, do not get involved with any microtransactions or anything. Just stay out of it. Just let the game be good, and it will fork in money. Because people love Star Wars, and we really want to see another great Star Wars game. The parkour looks promising. Make the enemies good. The companion seems cute, but I hope it isn't annoying or anything. Worlds look actually pretty cool from what I've seen. I like the RPG progression. I think that's a cool change. Well, not change, but just bringing it back. And just have this game be a good Star Wars game. That's all we're asking. A fun, good storied Star Wars game. That is all we're asking. That's all I'm asking. Because I love the Star Wars universe, and with the movies, I will go see the new one, but with how the movies are going, there's nothing really in Star Wars media that I really like anymore. And that's really sad for me. The games are being ruined by EA. The movies are being ruined by dumb directors. I just want a good Star Wars game so I can fall in love with Star Wars again. That being said, these are my thoughts on the Jedi Fallen Order. Please make this good. And with that, I'm out.